Welcome back to Fair Territory. I'm not going to kid you and tell you we just ate a whole meal at Mia's, but once again, don't give up on Mia's. Give it a shot. Well, it's time for the best part of our show tonight. We have Steve guest. Our guest is Steve Lang, and I've been around the game for about 20 years, and I've learned more from Steve on how to coach and how to be a coach. They're two different things. Than anybody else I met in the game. Steve earns John's top of the class rating. He's a world-class guy. He's a world-class pitcher, world-class fast pitch teacher. And Steve, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yes, sir. Steve, when I tell people that Steve tells you how to coach, I'm referring in part to being, technically what the kids should be doing, because Steve's also been instrumental in my development as a coach, from both working with kids, teaching kids to hit, teaching kids to field, and of course teaching kids to pitch. And then being a coach is how you relate to the kids. And Steve had a unique style in coaching the kids, in that he would always ask them, if they had a question for him, he would always ask them, what do you think you should be doing? He engaged the player in the learning process. And it's something that and he doesn't even know. I'm telling him this probably for the first time. He doesn't realize that. But that's what his style was, and I adopted that style, because in everything you do with the kids, you get them to participate in where you ultimately want to get them. So for that, I thank you. But how did you get involved in the game of softball?
Back in 1966, I switched jobs and went to a place that I started when I was a kid right out of high school. And they said, come on back and play softball with us. I said, okay, it seems like a pretty neat thing to do. So I went out and got myself a top-of-the-line glove and went out and played fast pitch softball. Well, it's a big difference between softball, fast pitch softball, and baseball. So I really had a tough time for maybe 5 years learning how to play fast pitch softball in the men's league.
Right.
And then I played for about 10 years. Had a baby. Obviously, I was married and had a baby. And then it was just too demanding. You can't have a family and go around touring and playing men's fast pitch softball. So
right,
we ended it there, and then I had my second child. That was about 8 years later, and then about 8 years after that, my wife got her involved in the rec program, and that's how I got involved.
That's how you got.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about women's fast pitch softball or even a rec program in girls softball. So I thought softball was just for the men's league, and so I didn't really get involved. My wife got involved.
Right. But back in the 50s and in the 60s, it was all men's leagues.
Oh, yeah.
But you played on more than just a league. You apparently played on a travel team.
Yeah, it was an industrial league, all the major companies in Philadelphia and Jersey. And there were some great pitchers, great ball players, baseball players that didn't make it into their program, but they came down and played fast pitch. So, I fell in love with the game. There's nothing like fast pitch softball.
Right. Did you start out as a position player, or did you start out as a pitcher?
Yeah, they put me in the outfield, right field, and that was terrible. That was really bad, because I've never played the outfield before, even in baseball. I always played the infield.
Right.
So I was out there all by myself, and it was kind of scary. The ball spinning in a different direction than I was running, and so I wound up playing second base. 6'5", 200-pound, playing second base.
I was going to say, you're a tall guy.
But that's the position I really loved, and it was much better for me playing second base than it was in the outfield. But and then my daughter, she was pretty good, big, strong girl. Amber, and we had coaches calling my house at the rec program and asking me to teach her how to pitch. And
you already knew how to pitch by now?
I knew how to pitch, but I didn't know how to pitch well. I didn't know what I was doing because nobody would tell you what they were doing. That was a secret back then.
Yeah.
Everybody had it. Really, it was a slingshot pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
There was only a few windmillers out there, and so I tried to. I was like a tweener between a windmiller and a slingshot pitcher, but I wasn't that good. I wound up with more problems with my knees and my shoulder by trying to learn how to pitch. And it wasn't until I got back into my company was an engineering company, and we had a lot of doctors and engineers, and I mean, I just wanted to pitch. I wanted to learn how to pitch.
Right.
So with their help, I just did a biomechanical demonstration.
Yeah.
We put it on oscilloscopes and tracked the motion of the ball, and
this is scientific already.
yeah, that's how I learned how to pitch. And
but the hard way, you know, it probably makes for the absolute best of teachers down the road because you've done everything you could possibly do wrong.
And I did wrong. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't very good. I just loved the game.
Yeah,
and I still to this day, there's nothing better than fast pitch softball.
Right. Steve, and I say you graduate from that. Let's just talk a little bit more now. Now you're charged with the ultimate responsibility, because there's nobody else out there. Teach your daughter how to be a fast pitch pitcher, even in 19. Well,
it was 80s, 80. I have to look at my wife here. 88, 89, something like that.
Yep.
I think she was 13 really when she really started.
Right.
And like every father. The daughter says, "What do you know about pitching, or what do you know about anything in life?"
Especially 13.
It's at 13, and then it was a point, "When are you my coach and when are you my father?" That came up. So we had to walk gently on that. And so I also looked around at who was the pitching coaches and where was the best softball camps. And I took her to a camp, Jimmy Caputo's in Lenape High School.
Ah.
And he had brought in this gentleman from Connecticut, the Ray Bestis Breakettes at that time, where they were the best women's softball team in the world. And he was the coach, pitching coach, and he put in demonstrations of how to pitch. And when I saw what he did,
right,
and his motion, especially as a man, how fluid and smooth he was. It wasn't herky-jerky. It wasn't all power and trying to muscle it through.
Yeah.
I said, it all come to, and I said, this is the way I want to be able to teach my daughter.
Yeah.
And from that moment on, I got to know him. In fact, my daughter hit him in the elbow, and he said that he'll always remember her. So from that point on, Johnny Stratton he was the guru. He was the company started, and
he was the guy that started the whole.
Yeah, and to this day, he's still coaching. I think at Florida Atlantic.
Oh.
He's an assistant coach down there.
Now, I'm going to go and get your coaching career a little bit and where Amber went, too, because I know you also did something with the Premier Travel Team. But to jump a little quick to let the audience know that when it came time to actually teaching Amber, the end result was, well, I guess it probably was with what travel team now did she end up with? And then we'll say what college she went to.
Well, when she was learning how to pitch, it got to that point, Dad, you don't know anything, and then okay. So when I took her to this Johnny Stratton on the way back, she said it was in Connecticut. I think we took her to a clinic.
Wow.
And she said, he was saying the same things you were saying, Dad. And I'm driving and I'm saying, okay, thank you for that, Johnny Stratton. So from that point on, then she trusted me in what I was doing. And I kept her in a rec program. I wanted to make sure that she did things properly. And I think the rec programs you can't say enough about the rec programs.
They're awesome.
They're just absolutely awesome for a child to participate in the sport, have a good time with their friends, not really worry about winning and losing. It's all about the game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I kept her in there as long as possible. And I guess when she was 16 is when we started doing travel. I had my own travel team at that point. And when she became 17, I realized that I needed to put her into some other special place because I couldn't and didn't know anybody, college coaches or whatnot. So I met a gentleman